WWE WrestleMania 41 is just a few days away from Las Vegas, Nevada at Allegiant Stadium on April 19th, Saturday, and April 20th, Sunday. And already there are so many theories, speculation, and guesswork about who's going to be showing up at the event. Some possible surprises, including several shock returns at WWE's biggest event of the year. We're going to discuss 5 names that could be set to make a shocking return to WWE television on the grandest stage of them all this weekend. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin with today's countdown video, you can see it right there. We are less than 200, less than 130 subscribers to go until 21,000 subscribers here at Wrestling News 365. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. In addition to that, you can see it right there in the sidebar. You can join the WN365 roster. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. You can join by clicking the link in the video description below. You can click the join button or scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. Speaking of that sidebar, of course, this is a WrestleMania video. It is WrestleMania week. It's one of the biggest weeks on the pro wrestling calendar. We have got watch-alongs and post-shows all over WrestleMania weekend, beginning Friday on SmackDown with a SmackDown watch-along and post-show. Then we've got WrestleMania Saturday, WrestleMania Night 1, a watch-along and a post-show then. In addition to that, we are going to have a watch-along and post-show for NXT Stand and Deliver on Saturday as well. Plus, WrestleMania Sunday, we'll have a watch-along and post-show for that. And of course, the Raw after WrestleMania, we'll have a watch-along and post-show for that. So be sure to join us. Right, let's get into today's countdown video and talk about some shocking returns that we could possibly see this weekend at WrestleMania 41. Let's get straight into this because usually, of course, WrestleMania, WWE's biggest event of the year, we see cameos, we see returns, we see debuts, we see shocking moments, and this weekend certainly could be filled with a bunch of them, beginning with the man Becky Lynch finally returning to WWE television. This one has been bubbling for quite some time, hasn't it? Of course, last year at WrestleMania, there was a match between Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship. On night 1 of WrestleMania 40 on April 6th, Becky Lynch was defeated by Rhea Ripley, but then Rhea Ripley was forced to relinquish the title due to suffering a legitimate shoulder injury, and Becky Lynch won a subsequent 14-woman Battle Royal on Raw, last eliminating Liv Morgan to win the Women's World Championship. Eventually, she dropped the title to Liv Morgan at the King and Queen of the Ring PLE. 2 nights later, on Monday Night Raw, Becky Lynch failed to regain the title from Liv Morgan in a steel cage match after more accidental at the time interference from Dominic Mysterio. But it was later reported at the beginning of June last year that Becky Lynch's WWE contract had expired and she'd become a free agent. Now, at the time, it was reported, and she even kind of alluded to it herself on social media, she was taking a hiatus, she was taking some time off, she wanted to spend more time with her family, with her child, and also explore, I guess, opportunities outside of the world of professional wrestling. And we've seen that with her being announced for several TV shows and films. But it was reported at the turn of this year, in January of 2025, by the likes of Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful, and others, that Becky Lynch indeed had signed a new WWE contract. Initially, a lot of people thought we were going to see her return on the Netflix premiere of WWE Monday Night Raw in January, but as of the time of recording this video, that's in the middle of April, we've still yet to see the man back on WWE television. Now, Becky Lynch has returned to WWE programming before at major PLEs. For example, she previously returned to WWE at SummerSlam from her maternity leave, didn't she? That was back in 2022, I believe it was. In addition to that, of course, she's one of the biggest and most popular stars ever, really, hasn't she, of, you know, in WWE, and certainly when it comes to the women's division, no doubt about that one. So as I mentioned, she made a return in 2021 for SummerSlam. So certainly we could see Becky Lynch come back. There are certainly people she could face off against. It was Liv Morgan. She had her last match against. Liv Morgan does have a match at WrestleMania. She's teamed with Raquel Rodriguez, defending the Women's Tag Team Championships against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. We could see a situation where, of course, someone that does have history with Lyra Valkyria is Becky Lynch. If Bayley were to turn or walk out on Valkyria and she was being attacked by Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, that could certainly make a lot of sense for Becky Lynch to return there. There are also championship matches taking place over WrestleMania weekend. The Women's Championship match between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. She's got history of both. She defeated Stratton for the NXT Women's Championship. She's faced off against Charlotte Flair a bunch of times in the past. When it comes to the Women's World Championship match, that triple threat match between Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky, she's got history with all three. So Becky Lynch could return in a variety of different manners, but you feel like this could be the time for the man to return back to WWE programming. Now, the next name that could return at WrestleMania is Goldberg. And the reason that he could return at WrestleMania is we know Goldberg's coming back. Now, Goldberg hasn't wrestled a match for WWE since February of 2022. Goldberg, he made an appearance in February of 2022 on SmackDown, where he challenged, at the time, Universal Champion Roman Reigns to a match at Elimination Chamber. Of course, that was a match that had originally been planned for WrestleMania 36 2 years prior, but of course because of the COVID-19 pandemic and health concerns, Roman Reigns pulled out. Instead, Goldberg, the Universal Champion at the time, dropped the championship to Braun Strowman inside an empty WWE Performance Center. At Elimination Chamber, Goldberg lost to Roman Reigns via technical submission, and we never saw him again. Of course, during that period of time, Vince McMahon left WWE and Triple H came in, and still to this day there are rumors of heat between Goldberg and Triple H stemming from back in the 1990s to when Goldberg had his run in WWE the first time around, and Goldberg was outspoken even fairly recently about things in WWE and his booking, etc., etc., etc. And he just thought he's never going to come back. He said that he wanted to have a retirement match, and Vince McMahon had promised him a retirement match, but he wasn't sure if that was now going to happen in WWE. Well, in October of 2024, at the Bad Blood Premium Live event in Atlanta, Georgia, Goldberg's hometown, Goldberg and his son Gage were in the audience when World Heavyweight Champion Gunther came out, insulted him and Gage, and Goldberg jumped the barricade. He tried to attack him, and he was held back by security guards. It was then later reported, not long after, that Goldberg indeed was going to get what he wanted and what he was promised by Vince McMahon previously, despite McMahon having nothing to do with WWE now, and that is a retirement match. During a podcast at the SEC Network, Goldberg announced that he would be returning to WWE for a retirement match at some point in 2025. We know that Goldberg has begun training for his in-ring return. He has begun training for this retirement match. We've seen Goldberg already start sparring. He had to take several weeks out of the gym because he had stem cell treatment and he was working on getting cleared to physically wrestle. Now, Gunther, he is in action at WrestleMania. He's defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Jey Uso. Many people do expect Uso to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and it's led to a lot of speculation of, well, then what's next for Gunther after he drops the World Championship to Jey Uso? Could we see Goldberg return and cost Gunther the World Heavyweight Championship? Could we see Gunther be so embarrassed and throw a hissy fit in the middle of the ring and be just completely furious, and then Goldberg comes out, spears him? That sets up the retirement match for some point later on this year. That is certainly a possibility. So you do feel like the former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Universal Champion, WCW World Heavyweight Champion, and WWE Hall of Famer could be a possibility to make his return to WWE television at WrestleMania in Las Vegas. The Undertaker, a man who, of course, is synonymous with WrestleMania, the man who has had the most matches at WrestleMania, the man who had the longest undefeated streak at WrestleMania, of course, as I mentioned, the most iconic performer in WrestleMania history. He's always involved somehow, some way at WrestleMania, even after retirement, whether it's being inducted into the Hall of Fame, whether it's the One Dead Man shows. We know he's going to be in Las Vegas because he's inducting his wife, Michelle McCool, into the WWE Hall of Fame, and he's always in and around wherever WrestleMania is because he's The Undertaker and he's so closely associated with the show. Last year, he inducted Muhammad Ali into the 2024 WWE Hall of Fame. And of course, he briefly appeared during the Night 2 main event of WrestleMania 40 between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, where he helped Cody Rhodes and chokeslammed The Rock during one of the most epic endings to WrestleMania ever, with interferences from the likes of Solo Sikoa, John Cena, The Rock, The Undertaker, Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes, of course, eventually winning the undisputed WWE Championship in the process. Now, since his retirement, we've seen him sporadically on WWE TV. We don't see the Dead Man anymore. We see the American Badass, or Mark Calloway version of The Undertaker. The last appearance we saw him make was in the Raw premiere on Netflix on January 6th of this year. He made an appearance under his American Badass persona, congratulated then new Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley after her victory. And as I said, given the fact that The Undertaker always appears at WrestleMania, who's to say that he won't appear this time? Whether it's just a backstage, whether it's just an in-ring segment, hitting someone with a chokeslam, depending on what happens when it comes to the main event of night 2. Maybe he gets involved with the Cody Rhodes situation once more. Maybe he does something else. The Undertaker doing an appearance at WrestleMania, it just feels tradition. At this point, it just feels like it's right, considering this guy at one point, again, was undefeated at WrestleMania. Has only been defeated twice in WrestleMania history. It just feels right that the dead man, or at least Mark Calloway, would make an appearance at WrestleMania once more. So I don't think you can rule out at all the idea that The Undertaker could make his return to WWE television once again, and the place that certainly he is synonymous with, that being the grandest stage of them all. Now, the final boss, The Rock. I think everyone, right, is expecting The Rock to appear on WWE television once again at WrestleMania, but it's far from confirmed. The Rock, over the past 12 months, it's been absolutely fascinating, hasn't it, when it comes to his plans for WrestleMania. Following a return to the ring for the first time in over a decade last year at WrestleMania 40, when he was in that tag team match with Roman Reigns, his cousin, against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins on WrestleMania Night 1, many people thought this was the beginning of The Rock returning to the ring, and he was going to wrestle at least one more match at WrestleMania. Now, after WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania, he had an in-ring segment with Cody Rhodes. He exchanged title belts. Of course, he had the People's Championship. Rhodes had the undisputed WWE Championship. He said that his story with Cody Rhodes was only just beginning. It wasn't over, but he had to go away. He had to go and film a movie. And everyone just kind of thought, well, this is, I guess, planting seeds. This is laying the groundwork for Cody Rhodes versus The Rock next year at WrestleMania. Well, the year went on, and it became quite obvious, didn't it, that The Rock likely wasn't going to be wrestling at WrestleMania, and plans had changed, and the rumored match was going to be Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, which, of course, we're getting at WrestleMania. So what was going to happen? He then appeared on the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw, and he was a babyface. He came out to the final boss music, but he was a babyface. He put over Cody. He was hugging him, saying he carried the WWE on his back, and he also put over his cousin, Roman Reigns. He was full babyface mode. He then appeared once again on New Year's Evil for NXT and was pretty much a babyface during that period of time as well. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, in February, it's revealed The Rock's going to be on SmackDown. The Rock appears on SmackDown. He announces WrestleMania 42 is taking place in New Orleans, Louisiana. He also then calls out Cody Rhodes, where he says he wanted Cody Rhodes' soul, and he offered to elevate Rhodes as a star in exchange for Rhodes' loyalty, and said he wanted Rhodes' soul, and he was going to get an answer on March 1st at Elimination Chamber in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Of course, we now know what happened there. Rhodes refused The Rock's offer, who then, of course, was viciously attacked by John Cena, The Rock, and also Travis Scott. John Cena turning heel for the first time in over 20 years, leaving Rhodes bloodied and beaten. Everyone thought, right, Cena and The Rock are now a team, and it's going to be a case of John Cena gave his soul to The Rock. But then we took another turn. After Elimination Chamber, not only have we not seen The Rock, we haven't heard from him. His name has been referenced maybe once or twice on WWE television by announcers, in promos, and everyone's just wondering, then what's happening? Did John Cena sell his soul to The Rock? Was The Rock going to be at WrestleMania, then suddenly he wasn't? Is he going to be showing up in Las Vegas? Is he going to be involved in the main event of Night 2 between Cody Rhodes and John Cena? These are all questions that nobody, except probably The Rock, Triple H, and that's about it, actually know the answer to. Now, if you had to predict, you would think The Rock, despite him posting pictures of himself in a New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt on Instagram recently and looking at a Rubik's Cube, basically going, you don't know the puzzle, I'm several steps ahead of you, you feel like he's going to appear. Surely he's going to appear. Surely he's going to get involved in the main event. And maybe a bit like last year where we get this huge kind of dusty finish and all of these legends are coming out and all of these legends are getting involved. And again, The Rock, he's on the board of directors for TKO Group Holdings. He can make his own rules. He can do what he wants. Surely he's going to be showing up, right? You never know. It depends on the schedule. But it is WrestleMania. He was instrumental at one point to this story with John Cena turning heel for the first time. So because of that, it would make logical sense that he would show up, but Dwayne Johnson does what Dwayne Johnson wants to do. So we don't really know. I think the prediction is that he will be there and he will be involved somehow, most likely in the main event. Will he get involved in a physical capacity? We don't know, because if he's filming a movie, insurance purposes might say that he can't get physically involved. We just don't know, but I think a lot of people are at least somewhat expecting to have the final boss's presence in Las Vegas for at least something for WrestleMania, because it was certainly last year the impression that he was going to be wrestling, and then at one point the impression was he was going to be there, but now we just don't know. So The Rock, you do think he could be there, will likely be there, but who knows at this point. And finally, will this be the return of the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin? If there was one criticism of last year's main event of Night 2, which was an epic main event between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Of course, it was bloodline rules, which means anything goes. It led to one of the most remarkable home stretch finishes to a match in WrestleMania history, when you had Solo Sikoa get involved, you had Seth Rollins get involved, you had John Cena get involved, you had The Rock get involved, The Undertaker get involved. It was certainly just pop after pop after pop, and an absolutely incredible production and scene by WWE. But after the show, people went, well, one thing would have made it better. One thing would have just sort of taken it over the top and been perfect, and that was if we heard the glass shatter and the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, march down the ramp, hit The Rock with a Stone Cold Stunner. The Rock flops around all over the ring like he used to do in the Attitude Era, and that's how they got The Rock out of the match. That would have been perfect. But Stone Cold didn't appear. There were reports that maybe WWE and himself were apart on money. He also then said that he was busy doing other stuff, and in addition to that, he just never really, conversations got going. But we do know that this time around, he's going to be in town. One, he and Bret Hart are going into the Hall of Fame once again on Friday for their match at WrestleMania 13, one of the greatest matches in WWE history, one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history, the submission match at WrestleMania 13 with Ken Shamrock as the special guest referee. So Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's going to be in Las Vegas. In addition to that, he lives in Las Vegas. It's not a long trip for him. He's in the proximity of the stadium anyway, which makes it easier for him. So the chances are, you would think, we're going to get the glass shatter. The chances are we're going to see Austin appear. We haven't seen Stone Cold Steve Austin since WrestleMania 38 back in 2022, when he had his last match, a no-holds-barred match against Kevin Owens in the main event of Night 1, which was his first match in over 19 years. He went on to obviously win the match. He then made an appearance on Night 2 of WrestleMania 38. He gave stunners to the likes of Vince McMahon, Austin Theory, and Pat McAfee. Certainly, again, was an iconic moment, but we haven't seen Austin since, and many people thought he was going to show up at WrestleMania last year. He didn't. Could this finally be the moment? If The Rock comes back, which, like I just said, is far from certain, could we see him get involved in the main event of Night 2, maybe a ref bump, or of course it's The Rock, he can do what he wants, he's in charge, and can say to the referee, this is now a no disqualification match, similar to the main event of WrestleMania 17 between himself and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then when he's getting involved, out comes Steve Austin, hits him with one final stunner. The Rock flops around all over the place, and that once again ties back to their WrestleMania history, the matches they had at WrestleMania 15, at WrestleMania 17, and at WrestleMania 19, their famous trilogy of matches too. It just would feel right. And given the fact that Austin's in town and he didn't appear last year, it is something they haven't done. And when it comes to Steve Austin, because he wrestled at WrestleMania 38, he's been open sort of suggesting that he could do it again. Maybe he'd want to prepare more. He didn't necessarily prepare the best way for WrestleMania 38, but he felt fine. He didn't get hurt. So who's to say Austin couldn't get in there, mix it up, and maybe that does lead to something in the future. He was asked if he wanted to participate and wrestle at WrestleMania 39. It didn't happen in the end because he was away shooting a TV show, but Austin's open and Austin's in town, and that's the important thing. So could we see the Texas Rattlesnake make his return to WWE TV at WrestleMania in Las Vegas? So there you go, guys. There are 5 names that could be set to return this weekend at WrestleMania. What are your thoughts? Which ones do you think are likely? Which ones do you think are unlikely? Are there any names that I've missed? Let me know your opinions, your hot takes, your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, as you can see right there. We're less than 130 subscribers to go until 21,000. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Remember, you can join the WN365 roster. Links to the video description. You can click the join button or scan the QR code when it appears on the screen, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.